Good morning, and welcome to the Morning Report. My name is Willie Lawson. The Morning Report is a production of FightBackMedia.com, 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 and FightBackMediaTV.com. I trust that you are well this fantastic Tuesday morning. It's a terrific Tuesday, and I hope that you are well. All right, I love it because the left continuously shows who they are, and they are unabashed by it. The thing that the only thing that concerns me is how often people on the right, conservatives in particular, Christian conservatives in particular, seem to ignore it when the left tells you exactly who they are and what they're up to and what they're all about. We seem to ignore it. We sort of make it like, well, they're stupid and they're ignorant. Don't they know? Well, the fact is, they do know. They do know. They know exactly what they're doing. It's hard to believe. It is tough to imagine that these people know exactly what they're doing and they're getting exactly what they want. Well, this past weekend, not unlike a lot of weekends in Chicago, all hell broke loose because that's what happens in a place that has been turned over to Satan, apparently. So the outgoing mayor, you probably already seen, and we're not going to replay them here. You've already seen the videos of teens wilding out, black teens wilding out in Chicago, where this woman is trying to get into her house or apartment, and a group of black teens just throng her and beat her down. While someone was recording, of course. So the outgoing mayor, Mayor Lori Lightfoot, says she blames the good weather for the weekend teenage mayhem. Flash mobs ran rampant, looting, creating mischief, and eventually exchanging gunfire, because that's how that goes, right? The incoming mayor, Brandon Johnson, who people hoped, well, maybe it'll get better, and no, it's bound to get worse, condemned the violence, but urged people not to blame this gang of hoodlums that caused it. Don't blame the children who actually did the thing. Here's what he said. Our city must work together to create spaces for youth to gather safely and responsibly under adult guidance and supervision to ensure that every part of our city remains welcome, both residents and visitors. This is one aspect of my comprehensive approach to improve public safety and make Chicago livable for everyone, he wrote in a statement. Y'all know what this is, right? Midnight basketball. I'm sorry. This is midnight basketball. Forget. Well, it's insulting that comments like that are insulting to everyone. They're insulting to everyone because it sort of says to these people that, if we just had a place where the adults could sit you down in a safe environment, this wouldn't happen. It insults your intelligence and mine, because that's what these kids want. These kids want to be in a safe, responsible, under adult supervision place that's safe for them to gather. That's what they really need. I know where there's a place like that. It's called the Cook County Jail. The Cook County Jail is under adult supervision, and they're safe, as safe as you can be in one of the worst county jails in the country. But you know what? It makes everybody else who isn't dealing with their mischief and isn't dealing with the exchanging of gunfire, it makes them a lot safer. No, I don't want to be locking up a bunch of kids. I just don't. But until there is this thing called PR, personal responsibility or personal accountability, things aren't going to get any better, and they know it. They want the chaos. We've been telling you this forever. These people want the chaos. They want the chaos because then they can swoop in with all sorts of authoritarian nonsense and save the day. And it gets more ridiculous. It's hard to imagine, but it does. When outgoing Mayor Lori Lightfoot blamed the weather for the chaos, also arguing that what had transpired wasn't a frenetic outburst of criminality. When a reporter asked Chicago's mayor to respond to a weekend that saw hundreds of teens descend on Chicago's Loop, with some jumping on cars, committing acts of vandalism, 2 people got shot. Lori Lightfoot took the issue with reporters' language. I'm not going to use your language, which I think is wrong, to say it was mayhem. So if you're in a car and you're driving on the street and people start hopping up and down in your car, that's not mayhem. That's not mayhem. Lori Lightfoot sought to distinguish between those committing crimes and others who sought a fun night downtown on the first warm weekend of the year. So it was this nice, and we thought we'd go out, and there are some people hopping up and down cars and breaking stuff. The vast majority of the young people who came downtown because it was great weather and an opportunity to enjoy the city. That's absolutely and entirely it, Lightfoot said. There are others that came with different intentions. They have to be dealt with. Mayor Lightfoot accused a reporter of ambushing her by asking questions about the unrest at a library event after her office had previously issued a press release. She encouraged people to download the My Shy, My Future app her administration created after similar scenes played out last summer. It offered a one-stop connection for free for neighborhood activities, resources, and job opportunities. See, it seems like to a regular thinking human being that these people are completely out of touch and out of reality and morons, and it's a mistake we make. They are not. This is the behavior that they have created. This is the behavior that they want, because it's divisive behavior. And they couldn't ask for any more. It couldn't be any better for them. And so they end up having to say outrageously stupid things like, it was nice out. We need to go raise some because it was nice out. Most people went with good intent, There were some bad actors because it was nice out. It is amazing. A total of 15 people, 9 adults and 6 children, were arrested late Saturday night as hundreds, possibly even more than 1,000 people gathered near Millennium Park, with some engaging in, quote, reckless and disruptive behavior. Chicago police said in one instance, 2 teenagers were shot in the area of State and Madison streets in the middle of a large crowd. In a statement, Mayor Lori Lightfoot said, while many of the young people gathered to have a good time and enjoy the weather, some were involved in, quote, reckless and disrespectful and unlawful behavior, end quote. As I've said before, she said, we as a city cannot and will not allow any of our public spaces to become a platform for criminal conduct. Except you kind of do. The mayor's statement read, in part, most importantly, parents and guardians must know where their children are and be responsible for their actions, instilling an important value of respect for people and property must begin at home. Except if your son says, I don't feel like a son, I feel like a daughter. I need puberty blockers to keep my facial hair from growing and my genitals from growing. So I need to be chemically castrated. And mom, dad say no. And the government says, sure, make it make sense. So Lori Lightfoot is saying that the people who misbehaved is because they have bad parenting. Is that what you're saying? Are you blaming the parents? Are you saying that good behavior starts at home? Are you saying that the intact family unit, nuclear family, is the best thing possible for keeping this behavior down? Is that what you're saying, Mayor Lightfoot? Is that what you're saying? Yeah, we knew that. It's too bad that none of your other policies support it. It's too bad that none of your other policies support it. All right. My dude, Ron DeSantis. Team DeSantis recently released a parody video. Now they're just having fun on Monday in response to Bud Light's highly controversial decision to partner with that dude. After, of course, he claimed to have celebrated 365 days of girlhood. If the women that support this dude don't see that he has given them the big middle finger, if you don't see that, I really wonder about you. If you think this guy's an advocate for women, I really wonder about you. I think you should seek some counseling. I think you're having a problem with self-image and 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 just in general who you are and what you mean. The video, Real Men of Women's Sports, satirizes the company's Real Men of Genius campaign from the 1990s and 2000s. Men of Genius, remember that? The Team DeSantis presents Real Men of Women's Sports, a voice that says, as transgender athletes are shown. Today we recognize the men who hacked the system. The video continues, and another voice singing, hack the system. Once mediocre in the men's division, now the cream of the crop in the women's, from mediocre to champion. You couldn't cut it with the boys, so you push women off the platform. Real men steal first place because without you, sports would be fair. Without you, women's sports would be, well, for women. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and play that video for you. Yeah, it's in. For some people, it's really going to tweak. It's really going to tweak their nose, but it's funny, and it's addressing the culture. Now, I've said to you again, I've said to you 1,000 times, 100,000 times, and I'll keep saying it to you, that politics is downstream from the culture. So unless candidates can address the culture in a way that is relevant and get that message out there, then what are you doing? Not everybody who would vote for Donald Trump or vote for Ron DeSantis is watching Fox News 24/7. They're not hooked to Tucker Carlson. They're not. They are, as much as it makes you crazy, scrolling through TikTok. They are. It used to be Instagram, but probably not as much Instagram anymore, but they're scrolling through TikTok. They are. They're looking for these videos. They don't know they are, but they are. And when they find these videos, it makes them smile. It does. It's genius marketing. And I'm gonna tell you, it's marketing. Why you like Donald Trump is because of the marketing that the Trump campaign did with Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a genius in marketing. Made you forget about all the other stuff. Made you forget about that that Donald Trump threw a fundraiser for Harry, Reid, against Susan Engel. Made you forget about that Donald Trump threw a fundraiser for Harry, Reid, against Susan Engel. Made you forget about that Donald Trump threw a fundraiser for Harry, Reid, against Susan Engel. Made you forget about that Donald Trump threw a fundraiser for Harry, Reid, against Susan Engel. It's made you forget about all that, made you forget about all the money that Donald Trump gave to the Hillary Clinton campaign for senator. The marketing made you forget about all that. And now some of you are dyed in the wool, lay down your life Trumpers. Wow. Marketing. President Trump has done some really good things and said some great things. Did some good things and said some great things. Did government grow under Donald Trump? Yes. Did government grow under Bill Clinton? Yes. Did it grow under Barack Obama? Yes. Joe Biden? Yes. George W? Yes. George H. W? Yes. Because federal government grows. Tyrannosaurus debt. Look it up. That Schoolhouse Rock, Tyrannosaurus debt is better and more important than I'm just a bill. It's a lot more serious and it's a lot more true and a lot more dangerous. Tyrannosaurus debt. Look it up. So this, and I want to show this video like right before we go to break, is an important thing. Now, some people it's too much. I think it's the perfect thing. And if you think it's too much, it's because you didn't think about it first. So we're going to show that video right now and take a little break. My name is Willie Lawson. This is the Mona Report. The Mona Report, again, is a production of fightbackmedia.com, 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 and fightbackmediatv.com. We'll be back right after this.
Team DeSantis presents
Real Man of Women's Sports.
Today we recognize the men who've hacked the system.
Hack the system.
Once mediocre in the men's division, now cream of the crop in the women's.
From mediocre to champion.
You couldn't cut it with the boys, so you pushed women off the podium.
Real man, still first place.
Because without you, sports would be fair. Without you, women's sports would be for, well, women.
I'm sorry. I thought it was funny. I don't know if you thought it was funny or not. I thought it was hysterical as a matter of fact, and right on target. It's interesting that the left seems not to care about women or women's rights or children. You know, we are often we spend a lot of time talking about drag queens and transsexuals and stuff, but it's just children in general that the left doesn't seem to care much for. And you have to wonder why. In this particular instance, we're not talking about American children, we're talking about immigrant children, migrant children. There are cases of unaccompanied children who are illegally crossing the US-Mexico border and now working and demanding jobs. It's on the rise, according to the New York Times, not Town Hall or the Cato Institute or the Swanson Report. Check out the Swanson Report. At paulswanson.com. paulswanson.com. You want to check that out. With the Biden administration being warned about the rise, and they did nothing to stop it or assuage it or anything. They kept just pretending it wasn't happening because their folks are like, oh, basically it's all happening. It's all happening. More right-wing conspiracy. Trumpers. Anyway, the Times reported, the New York Times reported multiple people who worked for and with the Department of Health and Human Services, HHS, by helping place children with sponsors in the United States and raise the alarm about the lack of vetting being done on the sponsors that were were fired. People who were saying, hey, listen, these people that are volunteering to be sponsors, some of them are sketchy as hell. Those folks, the people who were saying these people were sketchy, got fired. One case involves Linda Brandmiller. She worked at a shelter for minors in San Antonio, Texas in 2021. And she sent multiple emails about two cases where the sponsors for young boys did not seem to be legitimate. But within days, she noticed that one of her children was set to be released to the man in Florida. She wrote another email, this time asking for a supervisor's immediate attention and adding that the government had already sent a 14-year-old boy to the same sponsor. Ms. Brandmiller also emailed the shelter's manager. A few days later, her building access was revoked when she went to lunch. She said she was never told why she was fired. So she goes to lunch, comes back, and her car doesn't work anymore. They waited for her to leave, and they fired her. Well, why would you do such a thing? Because then you shouldn't have the ability to go through her things and get records. The reason for the relaxed vetting of sponsors stemmed from the Biden administration wishes to empty the shelters that were filled with children. They didn't like what it looked like. There were these shelters that were full of kids that didn't have adults with them, just like we said there were. Just like when my friend Eric Odom with Grassfire, when he was with Grassfire, went to the southwestern border years ago and saw hundreds, thousands of unaccompanied teenagers crossing the border, unaccompanied minors. We showed you that. They told us it wasn't happening. They told you it wasn't happening, but we showed you. Grassfire Nation and others showed you it was happening. At HHS, at least 5 employees who raised the alarm about federal government placing children in potentially dangerous situations say they were pushed out of their job. Jalen Sulog, that's her name. Jalen Sulog warned her bosses in a 2021 email, if nothing continues to be done, there will be a catastrophic event. She continued to email about the situation she described as, quote, critical and, quote, putting children at risk, end quote. Concerned that no one was willing to listen, Ms. Sulong filed a complaint in the fall of 2021 with the HHS Office Inspector General and the agency's internal watchdog and requested whistleblowing protection. In late 2021, she was moved out of her position. The New York Times showed on a graph that calls to HHS about migrant children labor and exploitation had dramatically increased since Joe Biden's entered office. The HHS has lost track of over 40,000 children after placing them with sponsors. 40,000 kids. We don't know where they're. Hard to keep up with. They're small. They're nimble. Maybe they're in Chicago enjoying the weather. The increase in unaccompanied minors coming to the U.S.-Mexico border came after the Biden administration assured parents in Latin America unaccompanied children would not be returned to their country of origin if they showed up to America's southern border. In the time that Biden has been in office, hundreds of thousands of minors were sent alone by their parents to the United States. And you will wonder why would they do that? Because Mexico sucks. And a lot of places, Mexico is crime-ridden and dangerous. And some parents, frankly, are trying to do their very best to protect their children. What they don't realize is that their children are coming to a place where not everybody is good. Some people are evil. Do you think that some of these children are being trafficked? I would guess that most of them are being trafficked. And there are people who are in the elite who are involved in this trafficking. We found that they are. I wish that was just some weird conspiracy theory, but it isn't. It's real. It's happening. Pray. Pray without ceasing. My name is Willie Lawson. This has been the Morning Report. The Morning Report is a production of fightbackmedia.com, 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 and fightbackmediatv.com. Until we see you again, go out there and learn something, love somebody, and for goodness sakes, take care of yourself. We will see you when we see you. Bye-bye now.